Welcome back. You're watching News Center. Here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive now. Maruti Suzuki's head of sales and marketing, Shashank Srivatsava, has said that the company is planning to accelerate their focus on SUVs amid a slump in entry-level car sales this fiscal. Hatchback and sedan sales witnessed a 12% and 6% drop, respectively, in FY24. I caught up with Shashank Srivatsava and began by asking him about the industry growth outlook.
For the industry, it's been a very good year. Expected overall sales in the entire fiscal year 23-24 should be around the 42.3 lakh units. This compares favorably with 38.9 lakhs that we saw last year. That's a growth of almost 8.8%. And for Maruti Suzuki, of course, we expect that our growth will be higher than this growth. In other words, we will gain market share by the end of this fiscal. We've already gained some market share thanks to our newly launched SUVs. But I think by the end of March, you will see that our growth much faster than the industry.
Right. So could you just give us the industry growth once again, sir? And what do you expect Maruti Suzuki's growth to be like?
8.8%, I said, would be the industry growth. And Maruti growth would be higher than this. I can't really give you the exact number. It could be market moving. So, but our growth will definitely grow much faster than the industry.
Okay. Now, let me ask you about the consumer sentiment on the ground, especially when it comes to entry-level vehicles. Does the sentiment on ground continue to be muted? Are you seeing a drop in sales of entry-level segments?
Yes, so for the entry-level segment, the sales still remains muted. Remember, just about in 2019-20, the small cars, the hatches contributed about 45-46% of overall sales of passenger vehicles. That fell to almost 30% last year, and currently this year it's around 28%. So yes, we have seen that continuous decline, largely because of the affordability factor coming down. And we do expect that in a couple of years, in fact, 2026 second half, that we see a rebound there. But you are right, we do see on the ground, the sentiments for smaller hatches still continue to be muted.
Right. Now, what has been the drop like in terms of the percentage of sales of entry-level vehicles in your entire portfolio?
So if you look at the overall degrowth in the industry for small cars, hatches is about 12% negative this year so far, as compared to, and it's a 6% negative for sedans. It's a plus for SUVs, almost 26% plus for SUVs. For MPVs, it's a plus 16% and about plus 5% for the vans. Overall, as I said, expected about plus 8.8. So largely the growth has been driven by the B segment vehicles, the SUV and the MPVs, as you can see from this data.
Okay. Now, speaking to you about utility vehicles, some of the utility vehicles in Maruti's portfolio have not been performing very well, especially if you look at Jimny. Could you give us the numbers for the Jimny in January and February?
I think just short of 1,000 numbers. That was the number, wholesale number. Of course, as you must have
for both months together?
No, separately.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 700 in one in January and about 600 something in February. But the retails are a little better. And if you see, for example, in December, we had a high stock of Jimnys, and we could, thanks to our strong sales promotion scheme, we could go. The retails on that month of December was about 4,500 Jimnys. So after which, of course, we are now producing vehicles exactly as per the requirement. And I think once we see this stock coming down, it has already come down quite a bit. And then we will see a much better number for the Jimny. So far, the Jimny, it was launched in June. We have sold about 18,000 vehicles in 9 months, 9.5 months. So roughly about 1,900 a month has been the average for the Jimny so far.
Currently, rural versus urban, what is the sentiment like? And what is the kind of outlook you would have for both rural and urban sales for the coming few months?
So rural continues to do well. In fact, so far in this financial year, April to February, rural growth is around 11.7% against a urban growth of about 8.3%. I'm talking of Maruti Suzuki figures. As a result, because of this higher growth compared with the urban growth, our rural share of the overall sales have gone up a little bit from about 44.5% to almost 45%. So that's been the growth. And also in the industry, the growth has been higher, and it has grown from 31% of the industry to almost 33% now. So I think it's been positive for the rural areas, especially because of the heavy investment the government has been making in infrastructure in rural areas. Also, the monsoon, which was a little bit of a question mark because of the El Nino effect, has been, while 6% down over the long-term average, still considered to be normal. Kharif crop output has been about 4% down, but Rabi sowing so far has been on the positive side. So overall, the sentiments look positive for the rural markets today.
Okay. In terms of the outlook for sales for the coming few months as we enter this election season, are you expecting moderation in growth going forward? Do you think maintaining this growth figure is going to be challenging over the next few months and in FY25?
Yes, I think in the FY25, that is the fiscal year 2024 to 25, we expect the industry to grow single digit, and that is because the base effect is pretty large now. You know, the 42.3 lakhs, which I mentioned, which we will end this fiscal year with for the industry. Also, remember that there is a partly the pass through of the of the repo rate increases, which we saw in the past over 250 basis point, hasn't yet been built fully in the auto retail loan rates. 130 basis points have been carried forward, and I think 120 basis point we can expect further increase. Remember, the auto loan rates are come with a lag after the repo rate increase. So even if the inflation comes down and the repo rate goes down later on, it will take a significant time for it to be reflected in auto loan rates. So as a result, because of these factors, the sticky inflation, the expected increase in auto loan rates for some time before they come down, has resulted in the industry saying that probably this year, on a strong base, the growth might be a little muted in single digits. Also, remember, in last fiscal year, when we started the month, the industry had a very low stock level, about 200,000. That has built up to about 300,000 this year, because this is a more normal level of stock in the industry today. The OEMs had the luxury of wholesaling the vehicles, even if the retail didn't happen. So far in this year, the retail lag expected in the whole year would be about 100,000 units. So 42.3 lakh is the expected wholesale, but the retail is expected is only about 41 lakhs.
What about EVs? When is the next first EV going to come from Maruti Suzuki? Are we expecting this in September?
I won't be able to give you the exact timeline, but in this fiscal year, that is 24-25, next fiscal year, that is 24-25, we should be producing that vehicle. And of course, we will have a phase-wise introduction in various markets. Remember, those vehicles will be supplied to outside the Indian domestic market as well.
Okay. And in terms of building a rival to the XUV 700, the Safari, that is also on the cards?
So it's difficult for me to give you the outline for our product plan going forward. But remember, this three-row vehicles is getting bigger, and we are watching that space very closely. And definitely, we will look at that segment. We are looking at the segment with a lot of interest.
Now, in terms of CNG versus hybrid, today you've launched a campaign for hybrid vehicles. Why is that? And how would the focus shift from CNG, from ICE to hybrids in the near term?
So we have always maintained, and I can repeat that here, that we believe that in response to the emission regulations, and to meet that, OEMs will follow different strategies, and a mix of technologies will exist for the overall emission norms to be met. And that's what you see for Maruti Suzuki as well. We have announced earlier that by 2030, 15% of our portfolio will be EVs and about 25% will be hybrid. The balance 60% will be a mix of gasoline, CNG, flex fuel and biogas. So what you see today is actually exactly the same thing happening, or maybe on a smaller scale. Today, the CNG is about 26% of our portfolio. For the industry, it's about 15%. But EVs and hybrids, which are also showing a good growth. EVs are about 2.1% of the total industry, and hybrids are expected to be around the same percentage, even though hybrid is at 43% duty and EVs are at 5%. So I would expect going forward that both will be, and that is one of the reasons why we have decided to launch the campaign for this hybrid, as you rightly pointed out. Hybrid is making a lot of sense because it doesn't give you the range anxiety which consumers normally have in an EV. That is when they will run out of charge. The hybrid doesn't have that range anxiety. It doesn't require charging infrastructure. The battery is charged by the regenerative power of the braking that is used while using the car. So I think that is the reason why hybrid is actually been outselling the EVs in the last 6 months. And going forward, we do expect that to be a significant segment.
Right. How many total products could you launch in FY25?
So while I'm not able to give you the exact number or the segments, but Maruti Suzuki, one thing I must say, Maruti Suzuki views the Indian market with a lot of bullishness. We do believe that there is a significant upside to the sales potential. We are looking at 6 million cars by 2030 for the domestic market. We have already made plans for 3 million domestic and about million of export plus OEM supply. So 4 million is what we are looking at for Maruti Suzuki. So obviously this will require a lot of new models, and we have always been bullish on introduction of new models. This year will be no different. Surely there would be some new models coming up.
All right, so Maruti really going to press all buttons to maintain its market share in the market, be it hybrid, be it CNG, be it electric vehicles, or even a rival to the XUV 700 or the Tata Safari. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. More news and updates continue right here.